Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you joining us today, we welcome you in. We're going to look at a relatively new cryptid today, the Chupacabra, which is Spanish for the goat sucker. Now, its first appearance, unlike most of the other cryptids we've been covering in October, Chupacabra really only starts appearing on our radar screens in the 1990s. And it's developed quite a little cult following since then. Now, what is the Chupacabra? It's a small-ish creature. People have guessed it from being anywhere from the size of a cat to the size of a lamb. And it likes to suck blood. So this right away scares our instincts because it's small, it's vicious, and it sucks your blood. Humans have always had this belief that the life is in the blood because even the most primitive humans would have known that if you bleed out, you die. So any sort of animal or creature that consumed blood, like a vampire, would naturally be able to kill you very quickly and very efficiently. Well, the Chupacabra appeared on the scene in about 1992. Maybe a little earlier if we do some research into the reports and read between the lines, but for sure it was 1992. And it would attack things like chickens and goats and livestock in general. Nothing like a cow, but smaller stuff. So this thing might be a threat to a baby or a small child, but a full-grown adult it would probably stay clear of. The Chupacabra is mostly a southern North American phenomena because it appears in Mexico and the southern United States. And it has a little bit of similarities to cow abductions, where the farmers look away for 1 second and all of a sudden their creatures have been savaged. This is one of the interesting things about this phenomena. The fact that it can appear and disappear at will. No one's been able to catch one yet. And that's not entirely unusual. There have been many species that have been rediscovered, in quotes, by archaeologists. And that's because the creatures are either relatively rare or have really good cover. Well, the south of North America has some pretty varied terrain. I mean, it goes from jungle to desert and everything in between. So lots of places for it to disappear to. There's a lot that can be hiding in there. As much as we like to think we are in 2021 and we have global positioning satellites and we have cameras everywhere, there are still some dark areas that would be very easily able to hide a creature that's small, that wants to evade humans, but still wants to eat. Now, as far as it being a bloodsucker, I'm not so sure about that. Would it attack the throat? Yes, I believe that. That's what cats do. Cats will naturally try to get their teeth around their prey's throat. It's a valid hunting strategy. Whether it's actually drinking the blood or not, it's possible vampire bats do it, but on a different scale on a different continent. So let's leave the blood-sucking part of the Chupacabra out for a second and assume it's a regular predator. Now, it's also been offered up that the Chupacabra is just a regular dog or a cat suffering from mange. Again, something to think about, but people are pretty smart. They can tell the difference between a funky-looking cat and something that looks radically different. Supposedly, this thing has hooves, it has feet. There's no consistent descriptions, but I don't hold that against witnesses. Even in a court case that's high profile and witnessed, the people who saw what happened, their memories can frequently be confused. So no judgment on the witnesses when they've encountered this creature, they find a dead animal somewhere, and what the hell is happening there? They're looking for anything that happens. But its size is relatively consistent. And this is a thing that makes me think it's probably not a cat or a dog with mange. Because cats and dogs can be all sorts of sizes, from a Savannah cat down to the smallest kitty, a Great Dane down to a poodle. And even poodles, proper poodle is actually a decent size, not the teacup poodle that we're used to. Back to Chupacabra. There have been efforts to find this thing, but like I said, it's not really hard to hide from humans. I mean, how many people have raccoons and squirrels and all sorts of things living in their attic that they want to get rid of? We can believe that. And a raccoon is a fairly decent sized animal. They're pretty strong, they're pretty fast, they're pretty intelligent. And a chupacabra, even if it had half the ability of a raccoon, would be quite difficult to ensnare or to trap. And if it was carnivorous, or even omnivorous, where it would eat both meat and vegetables, it would be very understandable why it would be preying on farm animals, because seasonal variations happen. And as a general rule, animals who are generalists, in other words, they can eat more than one thing, survive better. This is the reason why, pandas and koalas and stuff are endangered, because they eat one food source. And if anything happens to that food source, they're in trouble. Whereas a monkey, okay, I don't got any berries today, but that tree has bananas. Oh, there's no more bananas today, but there's oranges over there, or whatever is on the next place over. A monkey is going to move on. A bear or a raccoon moves on to a different food source. So the chupacabra is just simply is varying its diet. Maybe it does eat something else generally, but foxes will come in and steal chickens, no matter how well guarded the hen house is, well documented behaviors. And if this thing is attacking the neck, again, foxes do it, cats do it. It's a very valid mammalian hunting strategy. It would look very much like the thing was out sucking blood. So, would Chupacabra really be a cryptid? Only because we haven't found an example of one yet. Sure, there's the charlatans that like to put together pieces of skeletons and try to pass it off as, a mermaid or half crocodile, half woman, or whatever crazy thing goes through their minds. So we can't really submit that as evidence. Until we actually have one, we can point to and say, that is it, that is the chupacabra. We have to leave the chupacabra in the realm of cryptology, the art of the hidden, and cryptozoology, the art of hidden animals. But like I said, it's not impossible. It's quite possible. I mean, there was that deer in Vietnam that was believed to be extinct. And here we are 100 years after the last one was reported dead. It's alive and well, because Vietnam has a lot of jungles, as you'll see by watching any movie about the Vietnam War. And there's lots of places for it to hide, because it's a small deer. It's not like our North American deer. It's relatively small. So entire species can vanish and live perfectly well. The coelacanth is the classic example. It was believed extinct for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, but they discovered it in a fish market of all places. The locals were just eating it, and luckily enough, someone's daughter saw it, brought it to them, and they were scientists and said, hey, this thing is still alive. So like I said, the chupacabra, I'm going to say it's one of the more plausible myths out there. Not because it's a regular animal with mange, but because there's still things that we don't know. Despite our 21st century technology, despite everything we have, people can still break into homes. People can still get around that technology. And animals are very clever. They can kind of figure out, especially raccoons and squirrels, they've figured out, hey, it's a camera, I don't need to worry about it, or it's a camera, I need to avoid it, depending on the individual response. So anything that had been used to humans, even after a couple hundred years, is going to evolve. The city biome is very unique because, yes, some creatures are going extinct, while others are doing ridiculously well. Cockroaches, ants, and rats love humans. They love the city. It's full of places to hide, full of places to eat, etc. So the chupacabra could be a species that likes to live on the edge, in the rural areas where there's plenty of food for them for their natural eating cycle, but also they can pop in and grab a chicken or a goat or whatever it is that they choose to eat. And remember, there's wild goats out there, so these things could be hunting them and we would never know about it. Just because we have the technology doesn't mean we use it. Camera phones are everywhere, but when people are surprised, they don't reach for their camera. They are busy watching what's happening. So like I said, let's call Chupacabra one of the more plausible myths. Could be a real animal. I'm not going to discount it until somebody definitively disproves it. So with that, we hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And we hope you all have a fantastic day.